They leave Kenya often for greener pastures or education. Some stay on and build a life, while others come back with funny accents, ambitions to rebuild the country, and stories of a life many dream of abroad. Well, they go by the moniker diasporans. So what draws them back home? Well, I sought to find out, and though not all of them are of Kenyan descent, you might find their stories of return and discovery very intriguing. Take a look. It was called the Land of Opportunity. And for decades, Kenyans joined the flood of Africans seeking a better life on American shores. Though millions have gone and stayed and made a life in the United States, some are making the journey back home to Kenya. From the west coast of the United States, where he spent almost 4 decades of his life, to his East African homeland, Nathan Gabige did not expect to relocate to Kenya so soon after a visit in 2017.
Something I think just in my spirit said, you need to come home. And I told my family, and they couldn't believe it. I said, you know what? I'm out. I'm going to come back, move to Kenya. And so I left in January, the middle of January, and I was fully moved back in May. So I literally went home and just got rid of everything. And I said, I don't care by hook or by crook. I need to come back home. And that's where I've been. I've been here for about 1 year and 4 months. And I don't intend on going back. I think Africa is lit. Kenya is the spot. And I want to be here.
The life Nathan left in the United States shaped not just the way he spoke, but thought and behaved. It was years of assimilation into a culture that categorized him as Black American in the early 80s. Nathan's father was pursuing a master's degree at a university in San Francisco that brought the family to the U.S.
You do struggle with identity because you just want to fit in. So slowly by slowly, a little bit of my Kenyan background had to take a back seat for me to actually thrive and survive as now a young African kid living in the States. So yeah, it definitely was a little bit of a challenge straddling both worlds, because you would go to school and all your friends are speaking English and eating a particular type of food. And then when you would come home, you know, you're eating gima, you know, chapo. And then when you invite your friends over, they're like, what is this? And this wasn't in the age of social media. This was when nobody really knew what African food was about.
I believe this belongs to you.
Nathan's brother is renowned actor Eddie Gabige. The two brothers were destined for the arts, it seemed, as Nathan began to chart his own path.
People have been telling me I should be in the entertainment industry from the sense of being into fashion, and I'm very good at predicting how directors are going to take us on a journey in terms of cinema. But to be honest, my big push into entertainment is here, and I guess that's why we're talking, is because I see a greater opportunity here in Kenya, in Africa, as a greater whole than there are even in the States. This is the Wild Wild West, and if you stake your claim, you can do some amazing things.
And Nathan dived right into the entertainment scene and fashion space upon his return to Kenya. His tagline, "Born in Africa, Made in America," is the phrase that defines his lifestyle brand, Biamia, that seeks to create exclusive travel experiences in different destinations in Kenya.
So many beautiful nooks and crannies that we need to explore and promote to the greater world, and also to people that just live within Kenya and have just never gone to their neighbor. Like, they've never been to Kisumu, they've never been to Naivasha, they've never been to Mombasa, so we want to change that.
So it's not just Kenyans like Nathan who are making their way back to Nairobi to make a home, but also African diaspora who have seen the need for cultural spots much like this one, the Collective, which is where art, food, and music come together. Now, the brains behind it is Aisha Mani, who's from Senegal. Let's head in and meet her. Hi, Aisha.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
This is such a beautiful space.
Thank you so much.
What brought you to Kenya?
Well, I actually came on vacation and never left, to be honest. There you go.
It was that simple. Aisha fell in love with the art scene enough to open the restaurant and showcase unique and diverse pieces of African artists. And unique and diverse is certainly what describes Aisha's background that began with her childhood in Senegal.
You are Senegalese?
Yes, I am.
What was it like growing up in Senegal?
It was magical. Well, I left when I was 10 years old, so everything for me in terms of childhood was magical because my grandfather, huge extended family, loud and wonderful. So it was great.
Wow, so you spent a lot of your time outside of Senegal.
I did. The vast majority of my life has been outside.
Okay.
I left when I was 10 years old to move with my family to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And after that, I just kind of kept going.
Wow.
You know, so it was Mexico, France, China, and then now here. So.
My goodness. So that transnational experience, you know, how did it kind of inform your view on the continent and what's happening here?
Yeah.
You know, 'cause sometimes you have an attachment to where you were born and feel I need to kind of head back there.
Right.
How did that change your perception?
Yeah, and that's quite an interesting question because my father, of course, is like, okay, come home, you know, but as much as I feel an absolute love for Senegal, what all these experiences taught me is that it's about where you feel comfortable, where you feel that connection. I absolutely do feel that in Senegal, but I remember just feeling tethered to Kenya for some reason. So for me, I follow my gut.
This viral campaign ad dubbed #GoBackToAfrica by Cultural Collective Black and Abroad is one of countless attempts to get African American travelers on the continent. Perhaps more compelling is the Year of Return campaign. Ghana designated 2019 as the Year of Return to commemorate 400 years since the first enslaved Africans arrived in the United States. From approximately 1525 to 1866, 12.5 million Africans were forcibly transported across the Atlantic Ocean to serve as slaves in the New World, as the U.S. was known then. Life aboard slave ships was inhumane, indignant, grueling, and dangerous. Nearly 2 million slaves would perish on their journey across the Atlantic. The return to Ghana has attracted several big names in Hollywood, from musicians to actors, wanting to reconnect in some way with their African ancestors. Beyond the sentimental appeal, the campaign has also popularized Ghana as a tourism destination. However, for Wilmot Allen, who is African American, choosing to settle in Africa was a decision made well before the flashy Instagram ads and tourist campaigns were in existence. It started much earlier with an encounter in his childhood home as a little boy.
When I was younger, we hosted University of Cincinnati students at our house, and they happened to be African. And that just gave you an inside perspective on how people live that was very different than reading about it, than watching television stories. And that was really my first foray into understanding the complexity of Africa, the beauty of Africa, struggles as well.
Wilmot would eventually make the trip to Africa courtesy of an internship with the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, or COMESA. Wilmot has had the privilege of attending some of the most prestigious universities in the U.S., from Harvard to Yale and Wharton Business School. His profile and experience is very different from the stereotype some Africans have of African Americans, which he terms as ghetto-centric. Wilmot believes with globalization and social media, these perceptions can't persist for very long, and encourages both sides to step out of their comfort zone.
You know, if you really want to engage Africa, it's great to take KQ flight to Nairobi, go to Joburg, go to Lagos, but get to know Africans in your community. Those you go to church with, those you go to school with, that you work with. That's even a less expensive way, and I think a very important way, because as you think about the sort of dynamic between African and African Americans, most of, I think, the work has to be done in America and not here, in terms of understanding, in terms of collaboration, in terms of building relationship.
And building relationships with entrepreneurs here through his brainchild Venture Lift Africa is what is keeping Wilmot in Kenya. His company offers fintech and crowdsourcing solutions to help African SMEs scale.
I work in the entrepreneurship ecosystem here in Kenya, and I can tell you there's so much excitement and so much hope in the midst of challenges, but there's some real genius here. There's some real talent. And so just seeing that firsthand gives me a lot of hope.
It is a hope that resonates with Aisha too, a hope that dares to dream of a better Africa.
The hope is that we see less and less that is not possible. Everything is kind of possible, and that's exciting.